Well, here we are. Another episode of Jesus Freaking the Jew.
100% woman. Woo woo. Let's go.
And it's going to be a very non-hot button topic. We're just talking about transgenders. Just a biological attribute. Should be very calm, peaceful, easy, collaborative, inclusive, welcoming, warm, loving. Let's start at the start.
Okay.
What is your general opinion when I say transgender? What is your gut reaction when I say transgenders?
I think right now my gut reaction is very unfavorably from a cultural perspective.
From a cultural perspective.
Yeah.
So you don't have a problem with the biological issue of gender. You're okay. You accept the fact that transgenders exist.
Well, I want to understand, when someone is born, right? They're born a male or a female, and so the chromosome thing,
Okay. So when you're born, your biological chromosomes are either XX, which means you're a female,
right,
or XY, which means you're a male.
Yeah,
however, there are
because y'all retarded. That's why you need us.
Exactly, as usual.
But
there are I'm going to call it mutations, although I'm sure that's a bad word to use. I'm sure there's some other word for it. But that some people are born XXY. There's some people born XY who are female reproductive organs, something called Swyer syndrome. So biologically they're a male, but they appear to be female and have female reproductive parts. That's sex. Sex is sex. You're born biologically male, female, or some modification. So let me ask you, if somebody's
on the modification, what shows up on their birth certificate?
Well, probably if they have a penis, it shows up as male. And if they have a vagina, it shows up as female.
Okay, that's because I'm gonna research that a little bit more because I think that's important to know, right? I mean, we're gonna break it down.
Well, when somebody is born, I don't know if they check the chromosomal attributes when they're born. They come out, they see a penis, they go, "You have a boy." Now, and by the way, that's Swyer syndrome I mentioned.
No, your kid gets the cord blood and the DNA. You save that. I have all of my kids'
No,
DNA.
but do they do the testing at that time? I don't know if they do.
Bro, they jab and pick and prod and do all the things to your
Okay. All right. Okay. So in any event, then if they pick up that it's an XXY, they may call it intersex, which I think is what it's commonly referred to as, although I might be wrong on that. But there are people who are intersex who have both male and female parts, and there's all sorts of variation on the standard. So what do you do with people who are not the standard? What do you say? You, Jesus freak. So if somebody is an XY, but looks like a female, acts like a female, has female reproductive parts, what do you do with them? Are they okay in your world? Do they live? Or are they put on a leper's island somewhere?
They're a woman.
But what if they're biologically male?
How are they biologically male? You just said they have all the reproductive organs of a female.
Because they're XY.
But if they're capable of reproducing human life, they're a woman.
They're not capable of producing because they don't have a uterus.
Where in their body are they a male?
In their chromosomes. XY.
Okay.
I mean, XY is male. Okay. That's how you define sex. It's biological attributes.
What is the percentage of these?
Who cares?
Who cares?
Do we protect the minority in this country, or if you're a minority, you're an outcast? Isn't the whole idea of our country to protect minorities? I mean, shouldn't human nature be to protect the people who can't protect themselves?
Why can't they protect themselves? They're human.
Well, because of people like you.
No, it's not me. I don't.
Because people like you. Oh, well,
I don't label your color, your skin.
Oh
I don't.
You label all day, every day. Well, apparently you do it with sex. You have a problem with sex. If somebody doesn't have the right biological attributes, you're ready to throw them into the trash can.
You want to have a problem with? This is what I have a problem with. I'm gonna get right to the meat. Yes. I have a problem with what's going on with the youth right now and how parents are allowing their 10 and 11 and 13-year-olds to have let me finish. Transgender surgeries and reassignments.
Yeah.
I have a big problem with that, number one. And number two, I have a problem with the pushing it out all over the internet and all over social media and making it a cultural norm and causing dysmorphia for these youth. I have a problem with that. That's what I have a problem with. It's
so we'll get to that in 1 second.
You're born. Look, but I'm just very curious as to what the percentage is of the anomaly of the chromosome issue.
It's small. It's a small percentage. Let's put a number. Let's say half of 1%.
I also, that what you just said is a big part of the reason why we're doing this show is the labels, the categories, the buckets of literal division. So you're saying what? We don't protect the weak. We don't. No one's weak. We're all human. We're all born. We all have like the same things. We might be a little different, but there's no reason why somebody should be less inferior to someone else. There's no reason why, because your skin color is different or your religion is different or your chromosome is different, that you're quote unquote weak. I don't.
It's wonderful that
you can say that but me
for you to sit here,
not say that.
For you as a staunch right-wing conservative to pretend like we're a colorblind society, a sex-blind society, a culture-blind society is ridiculous.
I hate it
because that's all you guys do is promote division.
You guys, it's what the human race does. It doesn't matter what political side you're on.
Oh, so it's okay to exclude and hurt people who are not like you. It's okay to say, hey, you're not like me.
Okay. So you need to not bucket Elizabeth into some of these categories. Like,
well, that's who you represent.
No, I don't. I represent me and my views, and they're different from yours. So they're political and religious, so to speak. But let's be clear.
But we're not talking about political really today. What we're really talking about is biological.
Right.
We're talking about people, like people's right to live in the way they want to live, which you clearly don't want to allow them.
No, listen, I have friends who are gay,
here comes your friends again. God, you have a lot of friends.
No, I love them and they're amazing people. I do not judge them based off of their sex and their choice. I don't judge them at all. I love them because they're awesome humans. I don't really care what you do with your life. Just don't force it on me and make me.
Well, what do you mean? When you guys say that, it's so interesting when you say force on you. Transgenders, and all people for that matter, Christians, Jews, poor, rich, black, white, they want to live their lives. They just want to be left alone to live their lives. Yeah. They don't care about you. They're not trying to force anything on you. They don't care about what you like or don't like. Why do you care about them?
Parades in the middle of downtown that children are going to and they're dancing naked. Like, that's a problem for me. That's the part.
What does that have to do with transgender, though? So transgender
people.
Well, you know what? There's all sorts of people in Florida who are running around naked too. What about all the pastors? What about all the pastors who are exposing themselves to kids and having sex with 12-year-old boys? Like, what about that?
I have a problem with that. I'm not justifying it. I'm not okay with that. Like,
okay, but you're okay with pastors, but you don't mind pastors existing. You don't mind pastors existing. But the fact that a huge number of them have sex with children, that doesn't seem to bother you. You'll still go to church. Why are transgenders given a different standard than pastors? I never said that transgenders
shouldn't exist. I never said that. And I would never say that. I'm not out here to like kill and destroy people and like create a fucking.
Okay, so then let's start with that. What about trans?
Okay, I'm not fucking Hitler, dude. Seriously.
Okay.
Really?
Okay, so what's your view on transgenders' role in society? Can they be transgender? Are they allowed to get gender affirming care? Can they do a transition? Can they live their life the way they want to live it? Are they allowed to do that?
I mean, you're allowed to do whatever you want. I just don't want a man in my bathroom as a woman.
Okay, we'll get to that in 1 second. Because
that's where my line is. That's really where my concern is.
Okay, so good. So that's great.
Is my concern. The cultural side of what's happening right now is where my issue lies.
Okay, so that's actually good. So what you're saying is, if somebody's transgender, identifies as transgender, you're okay with that. They're allowed to live and thrive and do whatever they want in living their lives.
I don't care what the fuck you do with your life, as long as you don't make me uncomfortable and make me feel like my personal space is being violated because you are making it a staunch pillar that you want to.
Hold on. Why should they be forced not to make you uncomfortable? Isn't that what our country is about? Is that what you guys scream out all the time?
I want to go to the bathroom, Dan, and I do not want to have a dude who's like peeing standing up but identifies as a woman in the women's bathroom with me. That makes me uncomfortable.
What if you can't tell?
If he's standing up to pee, you can hear.
I'm saying, I mean, my guess is,
I have sons.
Well, let's be realistic. If a transgender woman is in a woman's bathroom, there is no urinal, so they're not standing up. They're in a stall, and you don't see them. So let's use your definition. You don't want to be uncomfortable. If a transgender woman is required to use a stall so that you can't see her urinating, is it okay now? Doesn't make you uncomfortable
with the whole thing, to be honest. It's just
okay. So that really gets back to the meat of it, right? Because on the one hand, you claim you're okay with it, but you're not. Okay, so because what you just said, your definition is you don't want to be uncomfortable.
I'm okay with it until it becomes an uncomfortable factor for me, like in a place of.
I mean, aren't you guys about freedom, free speech, guns? What if I'm uncomfortable with guns? Can you no longer have I'm uncomfortable with you open carrying an AR-15. So does that mean you don't get to carry them anymore?
No, the Constitution says I can.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
The right to
Okay,
bear arms.
I'm uncomfortable with you.
We argued about this a long time ago. It says the right to bear arms. It doesn't say what arms.
It says a well-regulated militia, but that's okay because regulations aren't allowed because that makes you uncomfortable too. So the things that you guys do, if I say, you know what, I'm uncomfortable with a church on my block because I'm Jewish. Can I get rid of it? I'm uncomfortable with churches. I'm uncomfortable with Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm uncomfortable with Muslims. I'm uncomfortable with Santeria. So can I now just get rid of it because I'm uncomfortable with them?
I'm not saying getting rid of transgender people.
You're saying you
I just don't like to participate in what.
No. What you said was it makes you uncomfortable.
It makes me uncomfortable if a man walks into the bathroom and he's not a real man.
Okay, so why is your
walks into the women's bathroom? That makes me uncomfortable.
Why is your discomfort the standard for what needs to change things? Why is that the standard?
Because it says women and men, and I'm a woman, and I want to use the bathroom as a woman and not share it with a man. I'm just saying, like, it's very black and white. There's no gray area. It's man, woman. That's it.
Yeah, that's sex versus gender. Okay.
No.
So gender is a social. We talked about biology very briefly. I think we covered that. Gender is not biology based. It's a social construct made up of behaviors and ideals and social norms and all sorts of other stuff.
It's fucking stupid. It has nothing to do with Adam and Eve and black and white and man and woman. It is literally the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life. But
so like cultural ideals are stupid as shit. So if that's the case, then why do we give it?
Cultural ideals are stupid as shit. It's why there's so much division in this country.
So who's the judge? You're the judge. So you're the judge.
Hates everybody and everybody stays in their little bucket, and then there's all this cultural and political and religious and color war going on and has been forever.
No, it's really kind of started. It's gotten tremendously difficult these last 7 to 10 years with you guys.
Labels? No, it's been going on longer before that. Labels create division, but they also create community. So it's like an oxymoron, really, when you think about it. Like,
right. So when
Catholics, Jews, Protestants, black, Asian, white, male, female, like, I get it, right? It categorizes people and it gives a descriptive element to that person and what they like, who they are. I got it.
So when you're in favor of the cultural ideal, it's fine. But when you don't like it, it's no longer fine anymore.
No, it's not that. It doesn't biblically, it doesn't align with me biblically. And again,
so what? Who cares about I don't give a shit about your biblical life. Well, I don't. I know. And so, you know what? And so that's the thing, is that what you guys believe, what you specifically believe is as long as it fits within your norm, then it's fine. If somebody's not like you or thinks different from you, then they're not allowed to have the same rights. It really depends. It's the Jesus freak standard.
Establishment of this country and this land. Let's go back to the
freedom of religion. Yeah, freedom of pursuit, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Would you move to the Middle East? Would you move to the Middle East? Would you move to Saudi Arabia and expect not for people to maybe look at you a little differently because you don't practice Islam? You don't speak their language, like you don't really eat their food.
I know that those countries aren't founded on the basis of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those countries are religious theocracies. They killed all the Jews. So yeah, of course I'm not going there, because if I go to Syria or Iraq or Saudi Arabia, I'll be killed.
Okay.
So our country is a bastion of freedom. Our country is like the shining beacon on the hill, and that we're not like that. But you want to turn it into that. You guys want to turn it back into that.
But
that's what you want to do.
No, we're not. Our freedoms are actually being stripped from us almost every single day.
No, well, you're stripping all the freedoms from transgenders.
I'm not stripping any freedoms from anyone that's transgender.
That's right. As long as they make you comfortable.
It makes me uncomfortable to know that there are no boundary lines anymore for women and men. I mean, you want to talk about this transgender reassignment stuff? I'm not okay with parents being okay with that. I'm not. Your kid is 10 or 11. They don't know what they know. No. No. Also, sports. Let's go to sports. You're taking away. I am a woman. My greatest gift is that I can reproduce human life inside of my body. Do not tell me that because you feel like a woman, cue in Shania Twain, like that you're now a woman. Bitch, you're not a woman. Okay. You're not a woman. You cannot reproduce life and you've changed your body and your hormones to make you think you're a woman.
Can
I
you
came out a woman.
Can you acknowledge?
That away from me. No, that I will stand on that pillar of truth. That is not okay.
Great. Okay. Can you acknowledge? Just acknowledge. Don't accept. Don't respect or anything. Acknowledge that there is a concept of gender that is a social construct, right? That is not biology.
No, that's fucking stupid.
Okay, so you don't even agree that exists.
All right, it's fucking stupid. I mean,
all right, well, look.
There's a lot of other people that feel the same way that I do. And this is not about
since we're no longer
worse or anything. It's I just as a person.
No, I got it. Since we're now
religious beliefs or faith.
Since we've now moved away from being constitutional democracy, now we're the Elizabeth Flock theocracy.
Yep.
And whatever Elizabeth Flock wants, she gets. And if she's uncomfortable with somebody, they get banished to a leper colony. All right, so let's accept that. I will move on from that. So let's talk about
my own leper community as well.
So let's talk about some specific things about the transgender world. You know, some topics that I may end up agreeing with you slightly. Let's start with sports. Let's show that there is a little bit of unity in our thought, notwithstanding our wildly divergent brains.
I love when you smirk like that, because then I'm like, oh, something good's really coming. I can see it. See, there's a smile.
No. I actually, when it comes to sports, I actually agree with you that a biological male, even if they identify as woman, should not be allowed in women's sports. I actually agree with that.
Should he be allowed in the locker room?
Yeah, that's a tough. See, the bathroom one is a tough one for me. I definitely.
It's a tough one. See, listen, I'm not trying to be a dick and say, oh, you're a fucking asshole and you can't be this person because you're choosing. I mean, I get like it's a mental thing. Like if I was a woman and I identified as a man, but I'm clearly a woman and I'm like, oh, I feel manly and I want to be a dude. Like, I get that that's got to be emotionally fucking tormenting for someone. I get that that's got to be really, really hard to not fit in this little social norm of male, female. Like, I get it. I'm not an asshole and I'm not degrading that. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if always like just jumping to the other side is a solution. Maybe there's like a chemical imbalance. Maybe there's something that can be done that says, wait, I am a woman. Like, I really want to be.
But now you're mixing up the issues completely. Okay. I 100% accept and believe that there are people who are born biologically one sex and identify as the other sex. There's just too many examples. There's too many people out there who explain what's going on that I'm not like that, but I can understand how that.
I'm going to go back to, and this is going to trip you out, and it's a total other contra. We can talk about this another time, but I think a lot of it has to do with the vaccines we've been giving our kids for a long time because they get aborted fetal cells in them. They're getting pig cells. I mean, like, look, you start taking on something else's DNA that's not meant to be in your body. And I'm just saying there's a good chance it's going to mutate and it's going to cause confusion inside your body. So,
I mean, when you just start making up stupid and ridiculous shit that you found on OAN or Newsmax, it just drives me crazy, man.
Go on VAERS. Go on VAERS. Go look it up. Go look at the case that the Senate has a fund.
Okay, let's do me a favor. Let's talk about something we can actually talk about instead of bringing your fucking ridiculous bullshit made up science in.
Let's talk about stuff like
let's talk about stuff that like we can actually have opinions on, that we can differ, we can agree and compromise and whatever. Like I agree with you. I'm agreeing with you on the locker room thing. Right. If somebody's born biological male, having them, if it makes people uncomfortable, I do understand the need for some type of regulation or some type of limiting factor. Like what I was trying to get to earlier when we were talking about the bathrooms.
Goes back to the point that it makes me feel uncomfortable. Someone walks into the bathroom. It's the same.
Yeah, but it doesn't. But I don't believe that your uncomfortability, uncomfortableness, however that is, your state of being uncomfortable, should restrict somebody else's freedom. Now, but maybe
you just said that if a male athlete who's transgender to a woman walks into a female locker room, that's not okay. But that's the same thing as I'm going to the bathroom. A locker room is a bathroom.
I'm agreeing with you that it does have an effect on people.
Female athletes uncomfortable. That is literally the case.
Hold on. We'll get to the female athletes in a second. We'll get to the athletes in a second. All right. But if we're talking about the locker room and the bathroom, I think that if you're dealing with the government, if you're dealing with public facilities, that just like public facilities are required to make special accommodations for like special needs kids in education, I think they should make some special accommodations for transgenders, you know, and there should be maybe a
I think you're going to have a hard time with like established buildings and established.
No, you don't. You can always look, you can always create another bathroom, make a sign. You could create a space in a locker room. You could create another locker room, which is neutral of gender. Anybody can go there. I mean, there's things you can do that are reasonable and common sense that, yeah, they're going to cost some money, but it's the same thing when you have special needs kids getting educations at schools. They have to spend more money, but they're entitled to an education and the government has to give it to them. And I feel like transgender is probably a similar situation. They should have some special accommodation so that people don't feel uncomfortable, because I do believe your discomfort has merit. And I believe that it should be acknowledged and respected. I don't believe that it's just a blanket prohibition, but I believe there's something to that.
Okay. What else you got for me?
Sports.
You disagree with me. I'm lost.
I know we should contact the New York Times, but you wouldn't believe them.
21.
If the New York Times reported that you and I agreed, you wouldn't believe it. So I'm not going to use that.
Pretty sure hell just froze over.
Let's talk about sports.
Okay.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I totally agree that transgender should not play sports.
Yeah, I don't think
and so. I'll tell you why, though. I'll tell you why. Because we have created a class of sports called, women's sports that is created because biologically women are born, differently than men. Men are stronger, bigger, just biologically, not 100% of the time, but generally speaking. And so we've created a class for them so that they can compete on a level playing field.
Correct.
If you allow a biological male, even if they identify as women or taking hormones and anything else, I believe they have an unfair advantage. And I don't think it's fair to let certain people play when you've created a class to acknowledge their disadvantage, and then you let an advantaged person come in and take advantage of that. I don't know if it's taking advantage. They want to participate, which I understand.
Great.
But look, I was watching a clip the other day about, a volleyball match, right? Where there's a guy, a former guy, identifies as a woman, transgender.
Oh, you saw the word smashed her in the face?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
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 And look, a woman can hit a spike very hard too. That can happen.
Not like that though. My daughter played volleyball, and I've seen some pretty hard hitting shots. That was a whole other level.
Right. I mean, that's a biological male hitting a ball.
There's a different level of strength. The muscles are created differently. There's hormones. Right. It's just a different dynamic on the inside. And if fueled and trained properly, there is an exponential amount of strength. There is even a different mental strength that comes with that.
It's what
makes us different. It's what makes us nurturing and loving, and you like providing and go out and kill the meat and bring it home. There is a dynamic that mentally.
To me, it's an unfair advantage. And what I believe we're trying to do in our society is promote fairness and promote equal opportunity and equal access. Maybe not access, yeah. But, and that when you give somebody an unfair advantage, I don't think that's promoting the ideals of our society. And I know it's unfortunate. I know it's limiting for transgenders, but
it's a choice that someone's making. Like if they want to identify, they know they're already going to be climbing up Mount Everest, like all through life. It's because it's not.
I don't know. I don't know that it's necessarily a choice. I don't think they describe it as being a choice, but it's just one of those things you have to deal with. You have to deal with non-conforming individuals in society. And I think that giving them certain accommodations is okay. In some places, I don't. Let's talk about pronouns.
I fucking think pronouns are fucking stupid. The dumbest shit ever. It actually infuriates the hell out of me. Even like when I'm on like LinkedIn and I'm looking at people's pronouns, I'm like, the fact that you have a pronoun makes me not actually want to do business with you, because I know you're a fucking woman. I know you're a woman. Here's my issue with pronouns. I don't think that it's relevant. I don't think you should have to delineate to me in a public forum that you're either a man or a woman. Because at the end of the day, if I'm going to be friends with you and I'm going to do business with you, I actually really don't care what your sexual preference is. I don't care if you're gay, you're a lesbian, you're a trans, you're hetero. I actually don't care. All I care about is, are you a good person? Do you have good morals? Do you have good ethics?
If they're a good person,
Are you operating under the golden rule? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So for me, if you feel the need to write your pronoun on any of your social profiles or publicly declare it, it says one of two things to me. You really want social acceptance and you don't want people to think you're like a bigot because you're not putting it on there. And number two, like, I don't know. I don't know. Never mind.
Okay, forget about writing them down. Okay, forget writing them down. What if I am a transgender and I identify as a woman? I'm living my life as a woman,
Is your name Danielle? Like, what's your name?
Caitlin.
You can't take her. She's already like a famous trans. You got to come up.
No, but let's say I'm living as a woman. Let's say you can't even tell. There's a lot of transgenders you can't tell, and they want to be called she and her. Do you have a problem with that?
What's their name? What's their first name?
They changed their name to Jessica.
Okay, well, I'll just fucking call her Jessica.
Well, what if you're referring to Jessica? Would you refer to her as her or he?
I would assume if her name was Jessica that she was a girl. I would assume.
Okay, so that's all it takes. So as long as somebody has a female name, what if their name is
like Ryan or something unisex?
Yeah, I can't think of a unisex name in my head.
I know, is that so crazy?
Chase, maybe Chase. Is Chase? No. How about Dana? Dana is used for both a boy or a girl.
Unisex name, yeah.
So
does Dana have a? I mean, if I would meet Dana in person, I'd be able to kind of gather.
Dana is wearing a dress. Dana, appears to be a woman.
Okay.
But Dana's biologically a male. Has not even had a surgery yet.
But does Dana's voice like sound like a female, or does Dana's voice?
No, you look. I mean,
I'm gonna use logic here, right? Like I meet somebody and I can clearly see like their name's Dana. They look like a girl, but they're not really a girl. I'm just gonna be like, Dana said blah blah blah. So I would probably, in the sake of not trying to make it awkward or uncomfortable, if Dana didn't want to proclaim girl or boy, I would just use Dana. I would be very professional.
But what if you're replying? You're referring to her or him. Her, him.
I would say Dana.
I mean, don't be ridiculous. At some point, you're going to use pronouns.
Okay, that's fine. But if someone doesn't tell me, like in face to face, and I'm making an assumption, I'm not going to make an assumption that's going to make someone feel uncomfortable. So if they introduce themselves as Dana,
well, if that's the case, then what's the problem with just then? If you don't want to make them uncomfortable and they want to be referred to with female pronouns, they're living as a woman, or even if they're not living with whatever, you can tell they're a man. But
in a social setting, I'm going to do something that's going to be respectful to that.
Oh, great.
Awesome. Right? I'm not going to be an asshole.
Okay.
But I'm going to go home and be like, I'm going to pray for this person. I kind of feel bad for
them.
Really
you should do that. You should do that.
Great.
Okay, we're agreed. We're agreed.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to be.
Stop. Okay, so we're going to finish up.
To put them on their things. That's weird.
Okay, I got that. It's a little
much.
Self-aggrandizing, but whatever. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do the last one. We have a minute and a half left.
What are we talking about?
Gender-affirming care for children.
Fuck no. Nope.
Let me ask you, if you were getting treatment for cancer, would you follow the procedures set forth by the national medical associations?
My mom would take care of that for me.
Would she follow, if they're the national, I can't think of the names of the organizations right now off the top of my head, but the national medical organizations, would you follow what they claim to be the correct procedure for cancer?
I don't subscribe to all of the medical remedies. I think there's some great holistic ones too. So I would have my own protocol, but
So you don't listen to the experts, like the national governing bodies on medicine and science. You don't listen to them. You listen to them when you want to.
Yeah.
And then when you don't want to, you don't.
Yep. 100%.
Okay. All right. Well, then that answers the question. I mean, I can tell you that every single national medical organization, none of whose names I can remember off the top of my head,
have said that senior moment, bro.
Exactly. They all say that gender affirming care is what you should do for children who are having thoughts that they're transgender as children. Now, it doesn't ever involve surgery at that young age. Ever. It's very rare.
Involved in gender affirming care, Daniel?
It could be treatments, psychological treatments. It could be just allowing them to dress the way they want to. It's everything but surgery, and even medicines are generally frowned upon too.
What is the outcome of this? Like, what are the case studies of, like, you've got a 10-year-old? Do we have like a litany of people?
It helps them. It helps them tremendously.
And what's the outcome?
It reduces their incidence of suicide. It helps them become more stable. It makes them better in school. They have much better chance of thriving in life if they have gender affirming care at a young age, which does not include surgery.
Include therapy?
Yeah, of course it does.
Okay. Then
gender affirming care is a whole range of different treatments. Everything from talking to them to, at some point when they're at an age of majority, to surgery. But at a young age, they don't do that. And
but
that's
are they trying to deviate them from surgery? Or are they like prepping
No, they're
them
trying to make them comfortable. They're trying to make them comfortable in their own bodies, what they're trying to do. And so there's different ways of doing that. And there's a protocol of treatments that are being prescribed by national medical organizations. And that's what gender affirming care is. It's not surgery.
You know what?
6.
I know we're close to being done here.
We're done, but I'm just going
No,
over.
I would like to say one thing though. I think
Sure.
I get that that is important, right? And again, I can't imagine if I had a child, whatever, and I would probably do whatever it took not to have them have surgery. But at the same time, the reason why they feel that way is because parents that don't have children like that, or people that aren't really accepting of the fact that like kids are different and kids are kids, they only know what they know. Adults are different. At that point, you should know some things. Like teach your kids just to be empathetic and kind. Irrelevant to
Great, done. That's the end of the podcast. Thank you. Adios.
Just be
It's been
nice.
great. Bye.
I love you.